When most people hear living below their means, they think of restriction and rules and limitations and not having fun. But today we're going to talk about all the things you gain when you live below your means. And it is so much more than just money in the bank. I'm Sarah, I'm a certified financial educator, and my passion is biblical stewardship. So I created this channel, It's All His, to help you manage God's money, God's way for God's glory, because it all belongs to Him. And I firmly believe that we are going to be better off in so many ways when we do things according to how God has ordained that we should do them. And He has a ton to say in His word about how we should manage His money. If this sounds like something that would encourage you and spur you on, please consider subscribing for new videos every week. Now let's talk about all the things we gain when we live below our means. The first thing we gain when we live on less than we make is more clarity. We have a better idea of the vision for how we should manage our money. We are not so encumbered by all the noise of the world. We're not so focused on just getting ahead and gaining more, competing with others, or filling our lives with more and more stuff that ultimately is never going to satisfy. We approach our financial thinking from the perspective that it's all God's money. How does He want me to manage it for Him? Clears out all the distractions of the world and helps us to manage money and make financial decisions from a place of clarity and wisdom. The next thing you gain when you live below your means is breathing room, margin, less worry about those unexpected emergency expenses. Those things go from being just stressful and really worrisome to more of just an annoyance. Because you live on less, you're able to save more, and that means you're going to have wiggle room when those inevitable things crop up. My husband and I always say when one of our cars needs a repair or some other expense that's no fun pops up, is, oh, I guess God decided He wants His money to be spent on a car repair this month. It's His. He gets to do what He wants with it. He has a purpose in that. It just really changes your mindset about those unexpected, expensive things that tend to come up in life. And you just have an attitude of trusting God and that He knows what He's doing when they do. The next thing you gain when you live below your means is more opportunities to say yes. I've talked on this channel a lot about how we have to be able to tell ourselves no when we're trying to pay off debt and be more disciplined in our finances. One of the benefits of doing so is there's a lot of yeses that you get to say. Maybe you're not happy in your job or your career path. You can say yes to making a job change because you're not so financially strapped and you have freedom to do that. Maybe it's saying yes to some impromptu travel or getting to do something with a friend you haven't seen in a long time. Some sort of service project or mission trip at your church, or some generosity and opportunity to give and serve. You get to say a lot more yeses when you have that freedom that comes from living below your means. And the next thing you gain kind of goes right along with that. You have the ability to be more generous when you live below your means. It gives you the opportunity to bless others, and it is truly so much fun. You can increase your giving every month, meet the needs of people that you see, or something in your local church that pops up, or help family or friends. You have the ability to just be cheerfully giving to God's work, whatever that may look like in your life, and it is just a blast. If you're finding any value or encouragement in this video, would you take a quick second to hit that like button or even consider subscribing? It's completely free, costs you nothing, and it really helps trigger YouTube to know to send this content out to more people that it thinks it will help. The next thing that you gain when you live below your means is probably my favorite one. It's kind of hard to pick a favorite. It's more contentment. You are just so much more thankful for what God has given you, and so much more focused on the fact that He's chosen you to steward whatever He has chosen to give you in His perfect sovereign wisdom, that you're less prone to looking out at what the world has and what other people have and comparing yourself and trying to keep up. You're just so much more thankful and content with what your lot is, with what's been put in your hands. You grow in trusting God that He's given you what He knows you can manage, and that you are able to manage it for His glory. And you just stop caring about what He's chosen to give other people. You're not that concerned with that. That's their business, and you're focused in on your business with a more grateful and thankful heart. And when those sinful thoughts of discontentment and envy crop up, because they will, because we're sinners, you're able to refocus and remind yourself, no, God knows what He's doing, not my business. Let me focus in on the things that are my business. This is one of my favorite gains from living below your means. And the next thing you're gonna gain when you live on less than you make is a deepening faith and trust in God to be your provider. You're living on less, so you're trusting that God is going to take care of what you need. You're choosing to be generous with his money, you're choosing to be a wise steward, and you're trusting that he will provide. And as you do that, as you walk obediently in faith and trusting God to take care of you, you're going to increase in spiritual maturity. You're going to see God work. Your faith is going to be strengthened. And this is a huge gain from living below your means and doing money God's way. The next thing you gain when you live on less than you make is freedom. Freedom from payments going out to everyone, freedom from the weight of debt, freedom from that paycheck to paycheck cycle. Living below your means is not about restrictions and rules. It's about freedom. And it reminds me of the gospel, because we get freedom from our sin, not because we follow the rules and the restrictions, but because of the grace of God and the sacrifice of Christ. There's definitely a mirror in the freedom that comes from doing money God's way and all of the biblical principles that God points us to in his word, and the beautiful freedom from our sin that is found in the gospel. And the next thing you gain when you live below your means is more peace. Money stuff can be stressful, but when you are managing money in a godly way and you're being a wise steward, you're going to find that as you live below your means and you have more wiggle room and you have more freedom, you're less stressed, you're less worried about financial things. That's going to translate into practical stuff like you're sleeping better at night, which is better for your health. We all know and have heard the statistics about relationship struggles and divorce when it comes to money, but if you have less money stress because you're living on less and you're doing money God's way, you're going to have less relationship tensions related to money. There's just so much peace that comes when we live on less and trust God as our provider and do money stuff his way rather than the world's way. And there's an even deeper peace that comes when you know you're being obedient and you're following faithfully what God has called you to do with his stuff. With so much to gain from living below your means, what is stopping you from making the changes you need to make today? If you need some help getting started with that, click over into this playlist next and let me know in the comments, what is something you've gained from living below your means? I'd love to talk to you there. Thanks for watching.